All right, Tyson, thanks for hopping on, man. I appreciate it. I got my cocktail, coffee and coconut oil. There they are. And you're the coach for today. We got a bunch of questions for you, okay?
All right, buddy. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. So most of the people that follow this have been through their own version of hell, right? And I've been following you for a while, and I know your story. So what I need you to do is kind of catch everybody up, let everybody know, your lowest moment, how you got yourself there, and we'll go from there.
All right. Well, let's try the nutshell version of this. It can get carried away. Let's see. So I grew up in a small town, backwoods town in Washington State. Pretty country, pretty blue collar. Everybody worked for a living. Very close-minded, in my opinion.
Right.
So, did that. Dropped out of high school, got my GED, tested very, very high, got that. And it was just, I just wanted something more, and I was tired of struggling. I grew up on welfare. So I built a huge marijuana operation from Seattle to Sacramento.
Okay.
And when it was all said and done, I had about 75 employees. I profited over $250,000 in 2007, and all I was doing was playing Call of Duty on my couch.
Right.
I had guys doing deliveries, everything. I didn't even touch anything anymore.
Yeah.
Literally, I had the whole thing dialed in to where I was just collecting money. I was putting money in and taking money out, and it was awesome. And I got in a really serious relationship with this, kind of the first love of my life. And she'd gotten in a severe car accident. And, I had grown up watching Scarface. And so I kind of had this whole don't get high on your own supply, right? So I never really had a drug issue. I never really did the drugs or anything like that. And, sold the weed. Well, I got involved with this girl, and she was in a very severe car accident. And she got prescribed Oxycontin. And so she got really hooked up on pills. And, one day she's like, it was her birthday or something. She's like, hey, babe, I want to do this, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, started to go down that road, and I started to get strung out, and shit started to fall and slip. And then money started to kind of become short, and we switched from pills to heroin. And that's when I started that. I got in trouble, and I got popped transporting some marijuana, and that was the end of that. I did a year and a day in prison, did my time, and I got out really determined to change my life. Now, I was determined to make prison a positive experience, so that's when I first really got into personal development and fitness and started training my body. That's where I learned to work out, was prison.
Right.
That was where it started for me. So I got out, and I was determined to do the right thing, and just like we all are when we get out, and hey, I'm gonna fucking get life this time.
Yeah.
And I did, and I got really fucking fit, really healthy, extremely healthy, best shape of my life. And I started training people out of a gym I built in my father's garage. So I started doing that, but never really picked up any steam. Couldn't really find, I was always struggled financially. And so at that point, I was really doing very well in my life. I had a job, I was training, and I was putting my life back together. I went back to school for my degree in exercise science at Centralia College. That was really, really remarkable. And I was doing everything right, and I was clean and sober. And I got in a relationship with this really amazing girl. Actually, this was before this. So then I started training for a marathon in July, and I got diagnosed with a rare blood infection called strep A, basically a rheumatic fever. And it eats your lean body mass. So here's a guy that builds his muscle, and now he's got a blood infection that eats his lean body mass. It paralyzed the left side of my body. I couldn't walk. It was the most pain I had ever been in. I remember just blood curdling screams in the hospital. I was in massive pain. They basically told me it was a good thing that I got in. If the infection would have hit my heart, there was nothing they could do. I would have died. Two other people that have had this disease. One has no legs. The other one is no longer with us.
Right.
So it's really serious shit. I was in ICU for over 4 months. And basically 6 different doctors told me that I would walk with a cane for the rest of my life. They were like, the whole left side of your body is so compromised. I was in incredible pain. It's hard to tell, but this would be my normal joint. This one's quite a bit more swollen. You can kind of see it up there. But got really bad arthritis to the left side of my body. So I get out of the hospital, and I was determined to rehab myself. I shattered my phone. I was angry at the world. I was pissed off. I was like, fuck anybody who says that I can't come back from this. I'm going to do it. And this is when I really started to dig deep into the human body. And I got in a relationship with this girl, and we were both in school, and we were highly motivated. She wanted to be a doctor. I was in love with her, and we were fucking going. And after I had rehabbed myself, about 6 months later, ran a half marathon, did everything like this, was doing competitions, and then I broke my back in 3 places. My L4, L5, and S1. And I was in so much pain, but I continued to train for about 2 to 3 months.
How did that happen?
On a CrossFit workout called Linda, aka 3 Bars of Death.
Yeah, I've heard.
It was, it was like on round 9 on deadlifts, and it was just too much.
When you got nothing
left, and
yeah.
I was stuck.
Yeah.
So that happened. I was in a ton of pain. Went back to the doctor. Got back on Vicodin. Started to lay around. Kind of got depressed. Couldn't train anymore. I was, pissed off. Well, the girl that I was dating, I was in great shape. My body started to slip.
Right.
My motivation started to slip. And I remember this is really the turning point for me. And she came over and she talked to me and she's like, hey, I'm leaving and I don't want you to come after me. Like, I'm done. I made this decision. And she was like, there are no free rides to the moon. I'm going to the moon, and I was under the impression you were going to go with me. I'm not carrying you. And I was just like, whoa. Like, whoa. So I was just like, pissed. I was like, I'll show you, right? Yeah. And so, I got involved with this MLM company that had an all-natural pain patch. It was something that worked. I had found a program called Foundation to rehab my back, and I started to rehab my back, and I started to build this company, and I really woke up, and I was like, I fucking hate my life. I was miserable. Right. I fucking hated it. Like, I was like, dude, there's no point in even living if it's like this. Fuck this. Like, it was that bad.
Yeah.
So I basically came to the conclusion, dude, you put yourself in this situation, you can get yourself out. So I made a commitment to myself to basically 50 Cent, get rich or die trying. Right. I was going to go for broke, and it was either going to happen or it wasn't. Mm-hmm. So I took $600 in a backpack to Southern California, slept on the beach for 3 weeks. Got a job closing high-ticket programs after I was working in a gym. I closed $140,000 worth of deals in 7 days, yep. $10,000 deals, broke company records. No salesperson had closed more than 3, and I'd never done high-ticket. And then everybody across the coaching industry, it's like, you got to fucking see this kid. This is the best high-ticket closer out there. And then people just started to offer me jobs and jobs. And I was just on the phone closing deals for everybody, bringing in 25, 30 fucking grand a month, just crushing it. Never made money like that. Mm-hmm. So I do that, and then I get approached by a lady named Marcy Locke.
Yep, locking down the truth.
Yep, and Marcy Locke is one of the highest paid and best mindset experts on planet motherfucking Earth. She is brilliant. And she gave me over $100,000 worth of coaching. Mm-hmm. So she was like, hey, I heard you're a killer sales guy. I was like, yep. She came up and met me at the gym I was training in. We got in a workout, and everything kind of connected. And I looked at her, and I'll never forget this, man. I looked right at her, and I'm like, all right, so where do we go from here? And she looks right at me, dead fucking serious. And she goes, we can fucking get that out of the way. And I'm just like, oh, my God, what am I getting myself into? So she hires me to start doing her sales. And I start closing fucking deals for her, and she's just stoked because she's done it her whole life herself. I started closing deals for her. She's like, this dude's the real deal. Then she started to see my zone of genius, and she wanted me more involved in her company. Mm-hmm. So she wanted me like part of her entourage kind of, and I ran the whole back end of her business, put together all the marketing funnels, outsourced everything. I ran her whole team so she could just focus on what she was great at. Well, she basically, I helped her raise profits in her business by about $50K a month. We were at about $250,000 a month. And when we did that, as I was getting paid shit salary, dude, I was making a small, worst commission than I'd ever made on sales. Then we got in a relationship. So she's my girlfriend now. Right. And so now Perfect. We're dating. I'm on shit salary and making shit commission. Yeah. And I closed a $150,000 deal for her in 90 minutes on one call. $150,000. I never saw a fucking penny from that. Yeah. But anyways, that's not the point. So I went to her and I said, hey, I raised profits. It's time for me to get cut in. I want a percentage or, higher salary or something. And she really wasn't having it. So I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm going to create what I want. So I started doing videos on Facebook, and all of a sudden somebody reaches out to me and they're like, hey, I want to hire you. And I'm like, hire me for what? And they're like, coach, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a coach. Oh, all right, cool. So got on the phone with them and, charged them $2,000 for 8 30-minute phone calls. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So then I started doing videos and more videos, and people started to reach out to me. And I filled 8 spots for my first high-fit group. I had no course, no program, no nothing. And I just made 20 grand and filled this spot. And I'm like, holy fuck, I got to build a product. And so my clients are on day 2, and I'm fucking building day 3. And they're on day 3, and I'm building day 4. I literally built it like that. I remember when I started this company, it was 16 to 20-hour days for about 3 to 4 months, just grinding it out.
Right.
So then I launched this company, and, I did $238K my first year of business. And, I believe I'm one of the best in the world at what I do. My clients' results prove that.
Yeah.
We dig into the food associations and all kinds of things. We hit this thing from 100 different angles. I often say I wish I'd go on one of those training, like Biggest Loser conferences. I would dominate.
Yeah.
I feel like I would dominate. There's this, my clients have made jokes about calling me the fat whisperer, because literally I have one conversation with these clients and then they lose 15 pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my story in a nutshell.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. So it seems like you've hit bottom quite a bit. A few different times.
Different times.
So what's going on? Normally when people hit bottom, what's going on with their belief system? Is it like you get to a certain level of happiness and you're like, this is too stable. I'm feeling too happy. How can I fuck this up? That's a subconscious thing, right?
Yeah. Well, so life is all about perceptions. Our belief systems do prove us right. So life doesn't change us, but the way that we see it, it changes. And so if you believe that life is tough, things will show up to prove that life is tough. If you believe that life is easy, you will see evidence that life is easy. So our belief system does. But the mindset that I was in when I hit rock bottom, it's kind of a good thing, because it's kind of like, hey, you have nothing to lose. And when a man has nothing to lose anymore, it gives you basically the freedom of fear. And fear is what, prevents us from doing so much. Fear of losing what we already have. But when you got nothing to lose, I lost all fear. I was able to be fucking ruthless in my pursuit for, a higher life.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any time in your life where you kind of, so growing up in a welfare, you and I had very similar stories in that regard. Did you ever hate rich people because you thought they were, like, mean?
I used to have a negative. I'm thinking of a family. They ran a trucking company in our town, a golf course, and I remember used to kind of having the mentality, fucking silver spoon, like blah 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 blah. But now I look at them and what because they had everything handed to them their whole life. I mean, they're miserable fucking people now. Yeah. So it's like,
yeah, and I had such a huge problem, with rich people, and then I, what's funny? And then I met some, and they're nicer than all the people that I knew. Mm-hmm. I was like, what the fuck? And their mindset was completely different, right? And their habits were different, and like they were guarded, with who they let in their circle. But if you had the desire to change, man, they'd give you everything that they could, and they won't do it for you. But like, listen, this is what you can do, blah 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 blah. And I started meeting all these millionaires, and it's just like. One guy said to me, Mike, you'll never become who you resent. I was like, damn, that's where my money block was. I was just like, holy shit, that's completely true. Like, I won't even go into like fancy restaurants because I fucking hated rich people.
Wow. Yeah, what you focus on expands.
Yeah. So. But I want to kind of dive into your expertise a little bit, and you had a video it's probably about, I don't know, maybe a year now, 8 months to a year, where you were talking about how people give their kids, they reward when someone falls down and hits their knee, they give them an ice cream cone. And it was really an eye-opener for me because I've told you this story before, but everyone that's listening, so my mom kind of abandoned us for drugs, for a few weeks. We were living in a park and stuff. And then finally we got reunited. And she was in such a bad spot. She's like, you know what? I got to send you home to Minnesota. You're going to go live with your aunt. And she's like, I want you to know that I love you, and we're going to have one last meal, one last good meal to her, right? And it was like Arby's or Jack in the Box or something. And I remember just like, not at the time, but I'm just like, okay, finally I feel stable. I feel secure. Like I have a meal. Like my mom's here. She loves me. Blah, blah, blah. Never thought about that again until one of your videos came up. And you're like, everyone has this positive association with bullshit food. So anytime that I would start going through something, stress, work stress, uncertainty, what would I do? I'd just fucking pig out until I couldn't pig out anymore and just, right? And then I'd feel all better. And I didn't realize until you told me about that. So tell everybody else.
Okay. All right. So first off, the reason that I trained for 5-6 years before I launched HiFit, and I actually stopped training because what I did is I would call all my clients 6 months after they left working with me. Mm-hmm. And I would say 80% of them gained all the weight back or not even more. And so I'm like, dude, this is fucking bullshit. I'm like, I feel like I'm stealing from people. I'm a thief, right? And so I quit and I started to dig into the mind. Now, a diet is an external strategy, right? Yeah. It's an external strategy, but if we don't change the internal in the way that we think, we don't actually change our results. So you can go on all the diet programs and the workout programs and you can lose 100 pounds, but if you still think the same fucking way, that when you're done with that, you're eventually going to go back to what's normal in the way that you think, which is the internal problem. Mm-hmm. So I started to approach weight loss from an internal standpoint, from a mindset standpoint, from an association standpoint. And now my clients leave my program and they're 30 pounds thinner 6 months after they exit than they were when they exited because the lifestyle switch. And that's what my clients have told me is like, Tyson, like I came to you for weight loss. Like you changed my life. Like I completely don't view it the same. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, we all have food associations. So I had a client and she came to me, and about 6 years previously, she gained a shitload of weight. Well, I started to work with her and started to get to know more about her. And turns out her mother passed away 6 years ago. And her biggest problem was every night she would watch movies, eat a shitload of gourmet chocolate and popcorn. And when we started to dig into this, I said, so by chance, did you and your mother used to get together and eat gourmet chocolate, drink wine, and eat popcorn? Right. And she's like, oh my God. So subconsciously or unconsciously, she was trying to reconnect with her mother by doing or sharing an experience. Well, is the truth that that's actually bringing her mother back? No. And now she's just compromising her health. So until we stop to ask ourselves the questions of why are we doing this, it isn't necessarily the action that we do. It isn't the food that we eat. It's the reason, the belief, or the association behind why we eat that food in certain times of stress or turmoil or things like this. So once she identified that she was trying to reconnect with her mother when she was feeling lonely and sad, well, then we identified that this food is actually not bringing her back to reconnect her mother. It's taking her health away. So once we identified that, we were able to change her beliefs and associations around it. So, you have a little kid, 4-year-old kid, and he scrapes his knee, on the ground, and he runs to his mom, mom, I hurt myself, and starts crying. Mom says, you know what, it's okay, honey, let's go get you an ice cream cone. Well, right there, little does he know it, it's creating a belief and association that food will cover up physical and emotional pain, right? I got bullied at school. Well, let's go get you a treat. Now, every time that this person moves through life and something stresses them out or they have some sort of an emotional pain, they will turn to food thinking subconsciously that it will actually create fulfillment or it will remove the pain, but it never actually does. It brings us further away from what we want. Mm-hmm. So it's just like if a girl really, her boyfriend breaks up with her and she's upset, and, it's the old story. She goes back for the tub of ice cream in the fridge, right? But what she really wants is she's lonely. She wants to feel more confident. She wants to feel like she can be loved. She wants to feel liked by this guy. So what does she get to do to create that? She gets to go to the gym. She gets to clean up her diet. She gets to start doing things that are going to make her more confident. But she decides to go the opposite way, eat the ice cream. At the end of the ice cream, she feels more guilty than she did before, and it's taking her further away from her goals. It's out of alignment, and then the pattern of self-sabotage continues. Yeah. So what she does is she's like, well, she eats the ice cream. She blames herself for it. She calls herself a piece of shit. You can never do anything right, Melissa. God, Melissa, just get your shit together, Melissa. You got to eat ice cream. Well, now that she's telling herself that she's got no control and she is a piece of shit, the pattern repeats. Yeah, so what we really want to do is we want to say, Melissa, it's okay. You fucked up. You're a human. But the good news is you get to choose different tomorrow and love on yourself. So when I fuck up, I used to beat myself up. Like, dude, you fucking idiot. Like, you've got to do something better. And now when I fuck up, I just look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, dude, it's okay. You're a machine. You do so much good. Get them next time.
Yeah. Yeah. So what it comes down to is a self-fulfilling prophecy of, I don't deserve to be healthy because I've never been healthy. I don't deserve to be loved because I've never loved myself. And so all this this self-worth, it just kind of spreads throughout the rest of your life. Have you ever experienced anything like that? I bet you have somewhere.
Yeah. So repeat the question again.
I said, have you ever experienced anything like like a lack of self-worth, and then it kind of spreads throughout the rest of your life, relationships, diet?
Oh yeah. Nobody will ever love you more than you love yourself. So if you can't find true love with yourself, you'll never be loved by anybody else. I really believe that. It will absolutely affect it because, again, your perceptions create your reality. And so if you're out of alignment with what you want to do and you're doing things that are taking you further away from your actual goals, you're going to start to feel and think less of yourself. So people ask me all the time, how do I create more self-love? You do it through actionable steps. You do it by actually following through and keeping integrity with your commitments. You see, the more that we break integrity with ourselves, the more we break. So, for instance, like let's say, okay, today I'm going to do this and this and this in my business. Mm-hmm. Well, it's 5 o'clock and I haven't done any of those 3 things. Then I start to put it off, and then I start to feel more like shit. And feeling more like shit just leads to more putting shit off. So once I do one thing, then I do the other, and then the momentum is everything. Yeah. So you really just must keep integrity and commitment with yourself. Right. It is so important.
That's one of the 6 pillars of self-esteem.
Yep.
Beautiful. I was just talking to someone at my part-time job about that. It was like, why don't I have any confidence? Well, because you say you're going to be on time, but then you're late. Because you say you're going to lose weight, and then you don't even work out. Like, you have to follow through with your word because you start to beat yourself up, and maybe she'll be on time next time. I bet you she's watching right now. Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, so break it down. Like, my audience is at the bottom right now, right? And they haven't come back yet. What's one of the... If you had to give me 3 steps, I just had the jail cell closed on me. I'm in my bed. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm at my lowest point. What are the 3 things or the 3 steps that I need to do to get back to functioning?
Okay. So the first thing that you must do if you're lost in life is you must gain clarity. You must get clear on what it is you want. So the first step is to create answers, deep-rooted answers to these questions. What is it you want? Okay? A lot of people don't have what they want because they don't even know they want it. They know they want something more, but they've never really taken the time to ask themselves, what is it that I want to create? If we don't know what it is we want to create, how are we going to create it? So what is it that I want? Get very clear on this. I mean, if it's an income goal, down to the dollar fucking amount, how your relationship looks, what color hair your girlfriend has, I don't give a... Get crystal clear on what it is you want. Then I want you to ask yourself the question, what must you do or who must you become to get what you want? Right? What must you do or who must you become to get what you want? What kind of a person has that? Get really clear on what it looks like to have these things. What kind of a person has this? Who must you become? Mm-hmm. Then, we create an action plan. We basically, based on that, I do that with my clients. I create an action plan to get them what they want. So being at a low moment. So the big thing for me is nothing. So, Sean Whalen always says this, radical change requires radical change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So many of us want better lives. We want change, but we're not willing to put in the work to get it done. I have a ton of people that come to me all the time and they say, dude, I would love to do what you do. Cool. Well, I actually do that. I can teach you how to run a business like I do. We get halfway through and they're like, I don't want this. Why? well, I didn't realize it would take this much work. So what do you think, that I just run around and make money and talk shit for a living? I mean, I swear some people think that.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to do what you do. No, you don't see all the so accepting personal responsibility, though. So for years, it was like, man, I can't get a job because I'm a felon. Basically, I was blaming the world and blaming my situations and circumstances for everything. So if we're blaming, so if it's not your fault that life is the way it is, if this is just the hand that you were dealt, how are you don't have any power to change it. Right? So if you've convinced yourself that it's not your fault, you've convinced yourself subconsciously that you don't have any power to change it. So if you're at rock bottom, the number one thing that you must do to make a change is look in the fucking mirror and accept full responsibility for exactly what is in your life today. Because the fact of the matter is that you're listening to this interview right now in your car, in your chair, in your recliner, in the gym, wherever you're listening to this interview. You're listening to this, and this today, this very moment, is a compilation of every experience, every choice, every decision that you have made throughout your life. So if you're looking up and you don't like where you currently fucking sit, understand that you're fucking responsible, motherfucker. You are responsible, and nothing is going to change until you do. Nobody's going to come knock on your fucking door with a $5,000 check that's all blown up with a bunch of balloons and tell you that you fucking won something and life is all better. It's not going to fucking happen. You and you alone are going to get yourself out of what you're in.
Amen, brother. I'm ready to roll. Where's the mirror? Right, no, exactly. Like, so I have a younger brother that grew up exactly how I did. He's 3 years younger, and all I have to say to him, he's still fucking up a lot, but he's doing a lot better. I just made an excuse for him. Anyways, when I talk to him, I don't even lecture him anymore. I just say, mirror test, bro. That's it. Mirror test. And he knows exactly what I mean, because we've had this conversation lots of times, and if you're living the same life, you're doing the same shit. Yeah. And one of the things that a lot of people have problems with is they don't realize that all the friends that they have, they love their friends. They don't want to lose their friends, right? It's part of the lizard brain. You want to stay social, right? Because if you're kicked out of the tribe, there's danger, right? But a lot of your friends have just as low standards as you do. And if there's nobody in that group that's going to raise the rest of the group, it's time for new friends, unfortunately. And you've had a huge, relationship changes in the last few years. I'm assuming, you probably went from your friends are like entry-level personal trainers like Buddy, and now you're hanging out with Sean Whalen and Brandon and, all these guys that are high-level thinkers, right? How do you break into a different group?
Okay, that's a great question. Obviously, hey, are you able to edit this? I really got to pee real quick.
Yeah, I can figure it out.
Okay, cool. I'll be right back, and then we'll get in. Okie dokie. So how do we change our associations and stuff? So I had a dream a few nights ago. It was pretty cool. And I swear God just brings me the stuff I teach with my clients. It's remarkable. But I have this dream, and it's a great metaphor for associations, and then we'll get into how we change our associations. So I've had a repeated dream over 300 times in my life that I'm flying. Sometimes I'm in a Superman cape. Sometimes I'm like in a hang glider, parachute, but I'm flying. Sometimes I just straight take off like fucking Dragon Ball Z, just like Goku, just boom. Like it's all, like I love it, and I always get pissed off when I wake up, right? And so I really believe that like I'm gonna get so powerful with the mind that eventually I'm gonna levitate or fly. That's the end goal.
Right. Yeah.
So just I know people are like crazy motherfucker. It's gonna happen. And then who's gonna be crazy? So I had this dream, and the coaches that I've worked with, it's been pretty cool. Marcy basically told me, hey, Tyson, you've up-leveled faster than anybody I've ever met. I have worked with hundreds of people. I have never met somebody that has up-leveled so much in life, just broke through barriers, picked things up so fast. So I had a dream that I was up-leveling, and I took off and I was flying, and I make it through the first barrier of clouds, and then the second barrier, and each one's a new level of life, right? Kind of representing. And then the third barrier of clouds, and then all of a sudden I'm flying, coming up to the fourth barrier, and all of a sudden, stop.
Oh,
like, fuck. I feel some fucking tension on my foot. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? So I look down, and there's a rope. And then it splits off into about 100 different ropes. Mm-hmm. And at the end of each one of these ropes is another friend or situation or event or anything that I'm attached to in life.
Yeah.
The more often that I see this person or the closer, so let's say my girlfriend, she would have the shortest rope. She is more involved in my life, meaning that she is a closer association. So let's say it's the guy I see once a month for lunch. Mm-hmm. Me and him have a much longer rope, right? So we have a much longer thing. So the more somebody is involved in your life, the closer of an association they are. What happens when you start to up level is if the person that you're hanging out with is that much further below you, when you reach that much further above them based on the association, the rope starts to get catch slack, and then all of a sudden you got this tension, and you can no longer go up until you cut the fucking rope.
Right.
Right? Until you cut the rope. And this is a great metaphor, and I really did this was a dream I had a couple weeks ago.
Did you have a machete with?
What? Yeah. So basically, like, I looked down, and I saw my father and my sisters and all the people associated in my life. And the closer of an association they were, the shorter the rope was. Mm-hmm. So you really will never go up level further in life than the 5 people around you. So knowing that, like, I don't give a fuck if it's family or whatever. It's like, dude, I'm not compromising my shit. I'm not letting the bullshit into my life. I do spring cleaning. Every 90 days I look at everything in my life and I clean house. I seriously do. I fucking clean house every 90 days. So, there's no need for that, Siri. So, anyways, so now how do we change our associations? Well, one person knows 10 people you don't. And so, like, I always think of this in networking. It's like one person can change your life. Mm-hmm. Right, by introductions. So I went out to San Diego and started, I was in a relationship with Marcy and stuff like that. And I got lucky. That gave me instant credibility. All these men were like, who is this guy? It just came off of the scene. Well, obviously, if he's with Marcy, that gave me immediate credibility. Yeah. And so she really helped me get into those circles. So it was that one person that I met. But if you don't know anybody, you go meet them. So when I work with my clients to help them improve their social health, they're like, well, I want this or what that. Well, what have you done to do that? Well, go to Toastmasters. Go to the Chamber of Commerce. Start talking to other business owners. Start meeting people that you want. Tell people, hey, I would love to pick your brain. Like, so Peter Vogt writes in 6 Months to Six Figures, if you have $1,000 to your name, the very best thing that you can do with that $1,000 is take the 10 most successful people you know to lunch.
Mm-hmm. Tie the rope.
Yep. That's the best thing you can do with $1,000 is take the 10 most successful people you know to lunch and pick their brain. And you want to surround yourself you want to be the dumbest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong fucking room, right? So you hang out with 5 fat people, you're going to be the 6th. You hang out with 5 idiots, you're going to be the 6th. 5 drug addicts, you're going to be the 6th. 5 brilliant entrepreneurs that are making change in the world, you're going to be the 6th. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so this is, huge for me. So I'm always cutting out associations. Always. I'm always figuring out, what doesn't support me in my life. And that's the question I ask myself. Is this person or this situation serving me? And that can be, people think that's a little selfish. Oh, so the world's supposed to serve. Fuck yeah, it's supposed to serve me. If something doesn't serve you, what the hell are you do? What the hell why do you have it in your life?
Mm-hmm. So a lot of the people that are going through this association trap, right? They're trying to figure out, like, they want to help their family. They're the strongest person in their family. They're always going out and trying to save these people, right? And they're doing it the wrong way. You know? Tell me about the tugboat.
Oh, okay. I'll show you here. It's got a lighthouse tattoo right there.
Yeah.
And I'll explain what that represents. So this is one of the most important concepts that I ever learned, and it changed my fucking life. And it originally comes from Jesse Elder. Sean Whalen taught it to me, and I've been teaching it to my clients ever since I've been implementing it. So the difference, so I'm going to talk to you guys about the difference between a lighthouse and a tugboat. So a lighthouse and a tugboat effectively do the same thing. They save ships, but they go about it in two different manners. So a tugboat will see a ship sinking, and it'll put its little engine out before the boat even asks him, and he'll go out to save the boat. He'll hook it up, bring the ship in, see another ship sinking, go out, save him. And at the end of the day, the tugboat saved a bunch of ships. So you would think that that's rewarding, but what it's done is it's compromised itself in the process. Its engine is fucking burnt out. It's running on empty. It's exhausted, and it's not doing well itself. So even though the tugboat saved people, it was running back and forth the whole time to do it. And a lighthouse, on the other hand, sits on the rocks, it shines its light, and it allows the ships to make a conscious decision for themselves if they want to avoid the rocks or not. So the lighthouse does the same thing, but he doesn't run out and save things. He sits there and shines his light, and he, stays there the way he is. This is the way I operate in my business. I don't follow up with leads. People have to fucking hound me to get me. Like, somebody shows their interest and they don't set up an appointment. Oh well, like, it is what it is. I don't chase people. I'm a lighthouse. I shine my light. I give my advice. I share my value, and I allow the people that hear my message to decide for themselves if they want to come and be saved or not.
Yeah. Yep, and that's the difference, right? So it goes back to your health as well, right? Like, why is health so important? Because it makes everything else easier. You've lost your health, even almost your identity at one point with your health, and nothing mattered. It didn't matter if you had $6 million in the bank. If you're in a hospital bed sitting and you can't walk, it doesn't matter, right?
Yep.
Like, there's nothing you can do. So we're gonna wrap it up here. What 3 books can everybody read that's going through the shit right now, and that you've read that's kind of been eye openers?
The Alchemist is a really, really good book. That's one I just recently read. Mm-hmm. The Way of the Superior Man, I feel, is huge. But for somebody stuck in the shit trying to get out, I would say Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah,
it's a great one. There's a bunch of them. I mean, if you want, like, let's see here. If you guys want to improve your health, the books that I'm going to recommend are 9 Effortless Keys to Healing by Dr. McCullough, Brain Maker by Dr. Perlmutter, Happy Guts, a good one. Low Carb Athlete by Ben Greenfield is something that I really believe in. Mm-hmm. The All Day Fat Burning Diet by Yuri is really good. Personal development, I would say The Alchemist, and The Alchemist and The Way of the Superior Man. Anything by David Dita is going to be good. If you're looking for improvement in relationships, The Conscious Heart is amazing. That is my go-to book for relationships, as well as The Truth by Neil Strauss. That is a fucking killer book as well. And those are some that I have read recently, and those are some really good books.
Excellent. And where can people find you if they want to see more of your videos, ranting and raving, keeping it real with people?
Yeah, well, you can find me under your friends list. I'm the only Tyson James Lee, as far as I'm aware, on Facebook.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
You just go ahead and search Tyson James Lee. You can go get my 2-week free sprint program at www.theactionboss.com. And, sign up for the mailing list, and whenever we have promotions and specials and stuff, we'll let you know. And we do a lot of live free training. If you guys search for groups, Thai Fit Elite Fitness, it's a group. You're in it. I have almost 2,000 members in it. It's what I do for the community. It's a free group. We do, we try to do 1 weekly live training. Doesn't always happen. I'd say we probably do 3 a month. We do the live trainings. It's really fucking cool. And we have a bunch of other health professionals, and if you guys are looking for a place to get some real information that's backed by science to help you improve your goals, people have messaged me in that group, saying, dude, I've lost 30 pounds in 90 days, and they never even talked to me or hired me. So the information in there is saving lives.
Mm-hmm. And I just want to take a minute. Dude, I'm proud of you changing your life and kind of committing to helping other people, right? You've given your life a purpose, and it's it's not always easy. Like when you go through the shit over and over and over, you just want to give up. But not only didn't you give up, you made the decision to start helping other people. So I appreciate that, man.
I appreciate you having me on. It's great to talk to you.
All right, brother.